Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I am Money Mike, and we are just days away from what should be a great weekend of professional wrestling, as Clash at the Castle is this Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern, and AEW All Out is Sunday night. So both events look very promising. We will see what is going to happen. I'm definitely very curious with AEW with All Out, because they did the title unification match that I talked about last week, and they did a very weird finish in which Jon Moxley beat CM Punk in like 3 minutes. They did an injury angle. So I'm quite curious what is going to be their main event for Sunday. But today let's talk about our tribal chief, Roman Reigns. So the question everybody's asking and been wondering for these past 2 years, who is going to be the one? And if it's not Drew McIntyre on Saturday with the big homecoming, winning the title in front of fans, basically getting his makeup from WrestleMania 36, then who will it, or who should it, will it be and should it be? At that's what we have to ask. And how much longer is Roman going to be the champ? Because are they really going to keep the titles on him for a WrestleMania match with The Rock, when we know The Rock is not going to win the titles? He's going to come in, do a match with Roman, and then go back to Hollywood? I mean, that would basically mean Roman Reigns would be the champion through at least April of next year, if that was the case. And I want to bring this up because Roman Reigns did talk about his new part-time schedule that he got, because apparently defeating Brock Lesnar unlocks the ability to become a part-time champion, apparently, nowadays. So if it's not Drew McIntyre this week, who is it going to be, and how much longer are we going to be without a champion? A world champion on these shows? You have to wonder, with Triple H now in charge, are we going to see the belts split back up? Are they going to stay unified? And that's kind of what I want to go talk about, because I've been talking about this with friends and people that I work with, and it's kind of one of the things where we're baffled, because if it's not Drew McIntyre Saturday in the UK at Clash of the Castle, who isn't going to be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns, then who is it going to be? Obviously, Braun Breaker is still at least a year or two away from being up to the main roster. So and obviously they see him as a big future star in the company going forward. And again, if you go that route where the Street Profits were perfect to defeat the Usos, but they lost, and you have Drew McIntyre, who potentially brings back Broken Dreams, I hope that is the case, as his theme song for Saturday at Clash of the Castle, and he still loses, who's going to be the one? And when is Roman going to be in Roman? Obviously, he's going to be at the Saudi show, because he said in an interview, he said he would obviously be there in the build-up. He would do the big pay-per-views, the Saudi shows. So what I did was here. I went on my phone. As you can see, I have the WWE Superstar page up on my phone. So let's see who is realistically can be the one to defeat Roman Reigns, because Brock Lesnar couldn't do it at SummerSlam. John Cena couldn't do it last year at SummerSlam. Edge didn't do it in Money in the Bank last year, so who is it going to be? I would love to see AJ Styles get another world title run before he retires, but I don't think he's going to be the one to beat Roman Reigns. I can't see WWE giving that to AJ. Next up, I mean, Bobby Lashley would be a good candidate, but again, I think WWE kind of screwed themselves over last year when they didn't keep the bloodline, the Hurt Business together to feud with the bloodline. But if you're talking about Dethrone and Roman Reigns, I can't see it. I think they're happy with Bobby Lashley bringing legitimacy back to that U.S. title. I talked about Edge. I can't see it happening. Even with Edge back as a babyface, I can't see it happening. Finn Balor, another good candidate, but I can't see it happening. Montez Ford, if they want to push him as a single star, that will be at least another year or 2 years of preparing him to be that main event guy. I think Montez Ford is definitely going to be a world champion in the future, but that's going to take at least a year or two of build to make that happen. Randy Orton, he's another guy that I thought could have been the one. He was a legitimate guy that could have taken him out. I think the plans before he got injured was him and Reigns at SummerSlam. But because of Randy having a back injury, he's out for the rest of the year. It seems like they went with Riddle. Riddle could have been the one, but again, they didn't go that route. Mr. Money in the Bank. Again, I don't know. I could see them doing this in a way where they get one of the titles off Roman through Money in the Bank, but I don't know. Theory is just not ready for that yet. I said this before, but I don't think Theory is that guy that you have this dominant champion for 2 years and he loses because of cash in, and it's not this big build up to the big moment, Like I can't see that happening either. You look at the SmackDown roster, okay? On SmackDown, again, and yes, I left Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes off for a reason. I'll talk about them too in a minute. Because those two are two separate things when it comes to Roman Reigns. Here's a wild card in this one. Gunther. He's solid in the mid card with the Intercontinental title. Triple H is bringing legitimacy back to the mid card titles with Bobby Lashley on Raw and Gunther on SmackDown. But Gunther, especially with Triple H in charge, definitely a future world champion, but he's not going to be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns right now. Karrion Kross is another one that's interesting because Kross, to me, they're building him up. He's been in the mix here with Drew and Roman Reigns, so you have to wonder if he plays into the outcome on Saturday. Maybe he causes a disqualification. Roman keeps the titles, and we get a triple threat match at the Saudi show. Karrion Kross. And again, they're building him up in a way, and he's only kind of mentioning Drew, which is why I believe Drew is going to be the one to win on Saturday, because it seems like they're getting Kross ready to feud with Drew McIntyre for the title after Clash at the Castle. see, who else on SmackDown? Uh, I mean, they could have went Sami Zayn having a big heroic moment, you know, with him turning babyface and him being the one to dethrone Roman Reigns. I mean, that could have been fun, or him having Money in the Bank. That would have been fun. But WWE didn't go that route. And then, of course, that leads me to the last two candidates who I think are very realistic: Cody Rhodes and Seth Freakin Rollins. So, here's the thing. We all loved the match between Seth and Roman at the Royal Rumble last year. You know, Seth coming out with the Shield entrance. You could see the story being told with Roman. He kind of looked irked. He looked ticked off that Seth got to him. And you could tell. And it was that he was the first person, I think, to ever get inside Roman's head like that. And I think, to me, Seth is still a heel. I think they should have turned Seth babyface instead of Edge when Cody got injured. I think Seth Rollins would have been a great candidate to dethrone Roman Reigns. Whether it's the unified titles or one of the titles, either way, I thought, to me, Seth freaking Rollins would be a great choice to make that happen if it's not Drew McIntyre. Now, let's go to Cody. Because we all know Cody Rhodes is injured. He is out with a torn pec. And he wants to try to make it back in less time than what the doctors say. So the question here is, and I think a lot of people thought that maybe WWE was going to give Cody Rhodes that moment, that big moment of dethroning Roman Reigns. Having the former AEW VP or EVP, whatever he was, coming in, dethroning Roman Reigns for those titles. Huge. Hell, I even thought Cody versus Seth should have main evented WrestleMania Night 1. Whatever it was there. I think it was Night 1. Yeah, Night 1. Because to me, I thought it would have been a good like a shot at AEW when you have Cody Rhodes come out the main event of WrestleMania Night 1 and he wins, and your closing shot of WrestleMania Night 1 is Cody Rhodes celebrating on the grandest stage of them all. And I think, to me, man, if Roman Reigns is going to really hold on to this title until WrestleMania, or both of these titles, is WWE willing to wait until Cody Rhodes is fully healed for him to be the one to make the come back in the Rumble, win it, go on to LA and WrestleMania and dethrone Roman Reigns? Or does Cody come back and get a shot at the Royal Rumble, dethrone Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble, freeing up Roman to have a feud with The Rock without the titles involved, and then Cody faces, say, Karrion Kross or whoever for the titles at WrestleMania. Maybe he only wins the WWE Championship. Because, again, that's the title that he had mentioned and alluded to that his father, Dusty Rhodes, never won. And Cody, ever since he came back, has been all about fulfilling his family's destiny. And so I think if you're going to have Cody win, I think you have to have Cody take the WWE Championship while saving someone else. Or at the very, very least, you have Drew win the Universal Championship Saturday, and do something with Roman saying, hey, I'm only putting one of the titles on the line, and then Drew McIntyre wins the Universal title, and then he drops the WWE Championship to Cody Rhodes, say the Royal Rumble or WrestleMania. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think? Those are my three choices, either Seth Freakin Rollins, Drew McIntyre this Saturday Clash at the Castle, and Cody Rhodes when he comes back. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think is going to be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns, and should it be Drew McIntyre this Saturday at Clash at the Castle, or should they wait for Cody Rhodes to come back and give Cody his big moment at WrestleMania? Let me know in the comments below, and I will be back later this week with my prediction videos for All Out and Clash at the Castle.